What's going on, boxing fans? Julian Williams here at the Distance. Got a prediction video for you guys. This one's going to be for the upcoming bout, which is going to take place this weekend at the Staples Center. Antonio Demarco versus Jorge Linares. It's going to be for the vacant WBC lightweight championship. Puts together the former two-division champion, three-time champion, Jorge Linares versus Antonio Demarco, who is I believe he's a multiple-time interim champion within the WBC. So overall, looking at this fight on paper, it's an interesting bout on paper. What you have in this fight is you have one fighter that, of course, has experience, talent, and technique against a fighter who is more so, I guess, a slow starter. He's a slow starter, and other than being a slow starter, he's one of those guys that can change the fight with one punch, which brings about an interesting bout, of course. Especially later down the line, in the fight, in the later rounds, of course. So I'll start off with Antonio Demarco. Antonio Demarco is a southpaw fighter. He's a tall, lightweight southpaw. He likes his opponents to come towards him, and he does well against opponents that are much slower in hand speed and foot speed than him, because he doesn't have the fastest feet, but he does know how to create space. He knows how to create openings, whether it's to move counterclockwise and jab from angles going counterclockwise, or whether it's going clockwise and looking to counter with the left hand. He knows how to make little adjustments in fights. The only problem with Antonio Demarco is when it comes to technique. Technique has always been a problem for Antonio Demarco. The reason I say technique is due to the fact that Antonio Demarco does throw his punches a bit wide, and he does tend to throw from out of range. He telegraphs his jab. When he throws his feint, he doesn't really do anything off of it. And but also the things that he does well, when he throws his shots, his hands are right back up. Early in the fights, he's always defensive. He doesn't take too much punishment early in fights when he doesn't have to, of course. Puts the earmuffs on. He's hard to hit, inside when he's standing in front of you. He's a little hard to hit, but just overall, I just think that there are problems with his technique, as I mentioned. But in this fight against Jorge Linares, as I mentioned, he's the guy I think that could change the fight with just one punch. He throws a good counter right hand, and he does counter quite well with the short left hand inside. But in this specific fight against Linares is a fighter that's fast on his feet and pretty much knows how, and is very offensive. So pretty much what Demarco wants to do is he wants to make defense turn into offense. He wants to find a way to counter over Linares' jab. That's pretty much the focal point. What he wants to do is he doesn't want to take the jab away from Linares. If he takes the jab away from Linares, then it takes away his offense, because his offense, of course, is let in off his jab. Linares doesn't throw too many punches, or too many power punches that knock off the jab. He does counter quite well as well, but he starts everything off with a jab. What he wants to do is he wants to take the jab away. And something that Demarco, as I mentioned, what Demarco does well is he does use the ring. He's a fighter that knows how to use the ring. While Linares is a fighter that will come forward, and he knows how to use the ring as well. Demarco, I think, knows how to use the ring a little bit better on the defensive side of things. He will, as I mentioned, he will jab from specific spots in the ring, set up little traps in the ring. He wants to set up a trap in the ring to where he can counter Linares to where Linares doesn't see it coming. Whether it's off the ropes, whether he shoots a pull counter left, which more than likely he's not going to do, but whether he just finds an angle to jab from and make it difficult for Linares, because he is a tall southpaw fighter. He's a tall lightweight southpaw, and he does pretty much majority of his punches do come straight, but pretty much the focal point is countering over his jab with his own jab. And if he could follow up with the left hook, great. But a lot of his shots come straight. pretty much, and also in this one, I think he does want to look for the right hand to the body. When Antonio Demarco throws his combinations, there's always that right hand to the body that ends his combinations, but it does come a bit wide if he shortens it. And when he shortens it up, it looks tremendous when he shortens up that right hand when it goes to the body, because it seems as if he shortens it, like when he gets excited, he'll throw it wide. But if he shortens it, it looks like he could land in a good spot, on the solar plexus. So pretty much that's another one to look for. And that's pretty much the eject I would have with Antonio Demarco. Take away the jab. You utilize the ring. Use the ring to take away the jab. Step out of range. Fight tall. Catch the shots on the gloves, because he does well. He also does well at catching punches on the gloves. Catch his jab on the glove and just come over the top with the left hand. Catch him with something that he doesn't see coming. I think he could very well win this bout. Jorge Linares is a fighter. I believe he's training under Freddie Roach now, and now is Alex Ruiz a fighter. Jorge Linares is very offensive. Is an offensively based fighter. Freddie Roach does well with offensive based fighters. And Jorge Linares in this fight, and we all seen this with Demarco. Antonio Demarco has trouble with pressure. And not necessarily pressure as in what Reyes Sanchez was able to do against him, because Reyes Sanchez is a slower opponent. And, he was slower on his feet and didn't know how to really cut off the ring, early in the fight. But he has trouble against fighters that have hand speed and know how to pressure him using hand speed. And in this fight, I think that Linares wants to come in and attack Antonio Demarco from the get-go. This is just that kind of fight, because Antonio Demarco does tend to start very slow. And especially against fighters that have his number, fighters that have good hand speed, good speed on the feet, knows how to utilize their offense against them. Offensive attack beats Antonio Demarco's style, because he's the guy that will wait for you to come after him. Kind of like what Benitez would do from time to time. What he tried to do with Hearns, he would try to get Hearns to come in, and try to catch him with a counter, but it was one of those fights where he couldn't really do it, just because of the long reach involved. But in this one, I just think that Demarco does tend to do that. He does tend to wait for fighters to come after him, and he doesn't really throw his uppercut all that well, so it's not really a punch to worry about if he dodges in. But just in this one, I think he should just come in and attack Antonio Demarco. This is that fight to where he just comes in and he attacks him. This is just that attack fight. Antonio Demarco is not as fast on his feet, so he's going to be there for him the entire bout, I think. The only problem is, later down the stretch, will he be able to maintain that offense from rounds, 8 or 9 through 12? Can he maintain it? But if I was Linares, I would take Demarco out early. Doesn't really tuck the chin. Sometimes he doesn't get his glove back in time after throwing the jab. When he throws his left hand, sometimes he just stands there. Kind of admires his work when he throws a good one. But he's always on the move. DeMarco fights like he's always on the defensive, which is quite smart from time to time, but it doesn't work against every type of style. So I'm going to go with Jorge Linares in this fight. And I think that Jorge Linares has a hand speed, has pretty much the speed advantage in this fight. I think, pretty much it's a fight where speed kills. Jorge Linares is faster than DeMarco. I think when it comes to power, he puts his punches together quite well. I think he puts his punches together much better than DeMarco, and he has better technique. The only thing that could beat Jorge Linares is Jorge Linares if he gets caught with a punch that he shouldn't be hit with later in the fight. But I just think that the better technique, better overall agility, and I think better overall skill, I'm going to go with Jorge Linares in this one by unanimous decision. So anyway, peeps, I'm out of here. That was The Distance. Peace.